Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
I'm so pleased to welcome you back to the West Texas View. Last Sunday we had Dr. Bobby Jain, who's a psychiatrist and teaches at the Texas Tech Medical School, but he's also part of the Texas Tech physicians that have a clinic and practices through that in both Midland and Odessa. And so we had started answering a lot of the questions that you had sent in past times when he's been on the program, and I lost all track of time. I didn't realize before we left last week that we were ending the program already. But one of the things that we talked about last week was the attitude of the whole families when there's mental health issues involved. But today I want us to switch gears a little bit, and even though I know that your specialty is children, you're a child psychiatrist, you also have been involved in general psychiatry too, is
Absolutely.
that correct?
I have started seeing some senior citizens also.
Okay.
I have not many of them, but I do have a significant number of senior citizens also.
Okay. And that brings up one of the questions is that there is a lot more suicide rate among senior citizens and the boomers now than there has been. And so is this something that, does suicide run in a family? Is there some kind of genetics involved in that?
Yeah, let me answer this question. This is a very, very important topic. First of all, thank you again for inviting me here, and it's a pleasure to be here as always, getting to talk to you in person and getting to reach your audience. And thank you, audience, for sending such interesting. Keep writing, and unless you write, I would not know what really is important in this real life scenario about mental illness. Let's talk about the suicide rate. It's very, very important. In West Texas, suicide rates particularly has spiked in adolescent and young children for some reason. So is the teen pregnancy rates. I'm not sure if they're connected or not, but West Texas has been, and there are a number of initiatives we have done to reduce that. Coming back to your topic about suicide in the baby boomers, it's very, very important. We are seeing two forms of phenomena here, and this is something CDC has noted it over the past 10 years or so. It's coming to the point that the boomer generation now have become the sole providers of health care and care for their own parents, and because of the economic situation, they have been pressed hard to provide support to their children.
To their grown children.
Grown adult children. So it's more like double whammy for them, and that seems to be the major factor from them. Coming back to the question of whether suicide run the family, the answer is absolutely yes. The risk of suicide if first degree family relative commits suicide increases astronomically. Suppose someone in my family connected to my blood commits suicide. Even though I may or may not have history of emotional problems, my chances of committing suicide is 5, 6, 7 times more than the general population. And there is a gene called suicide gene where we don't know much very well about it, how it triggers, what happens, but I've seen these patients where even though everything is going well, they just have no desire to live. The so-called suicide gene, and they're extremely, extremely dangerous. Suicide and the thoughts of death in any scenario, any case, at any stage, in any whatsoever circumstances is never normal. It's just so counterintuitive. I'm not talking about the religious point of view. True, all religions condemn suicide, but I'm just talking about from the humanitarian point of view. That is not an acceptable form of thought process, not a normal form of thought process. And anybody having those recurrent thoughts, even passive so-called, that I wish I'd go to sleep and not wake up, I wish I'd drive and run into an accident, I wish the upcoming traffic runs into me, I wish a cop shoots me. These are actual examples I've heard. They're not just my creations. These are actual examples I've heard from patients, and we call them as passive suicidal ideations, and they're equally dangerous and needs equal attention as active thoughts that I want to die for whatever reason.
Plus that role model of that person they loved committing suicide, they always can return to that and say, well, they chose that, I will too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a glorification of suicide, and that's something that needs to be addressed also, and that's studies have shown may be a predominant factor, particularly in adolescent and children. So because once someone dies, the kind of attention and all the accolades that person may be getting can be very troubling for someone who's struggling with emotions anyways, and may find that as, why not go with the bang, you know, if I die.
So the glorification of suicide would be more attractive, it seems like, then to teenagers or young teens who are
troubled teens who are already struggling with one form of behavior or the other, or any form of emotional problems, or having family problems, legal problems, or whatever.
So if what would I look for if I were younger and I had a boomer parent? What would I look for as signs? Would it be these verbal cues they're giving me that I wish I'd just go to sleep and not wake
Johnny, you're very young to me. I don't think you can be any younger than that, and you look very, very attractive, if I may say so. But coming to the question is, there are red flags for suicide. One is, of course, expression of suicidal ideations, presence of mental illness, family history of suicide attempt. The biggest predictor of suicide is probably previous attempts of suicide. If someone has attempted before, they are extremely high risk of attempting it again. Any recent event happening, be it health-related event, be it family event, financial event, legal problems. More importantly, access to firearms. I know this is West Texas, and West Texas goes synonymous with guns and things like that. But someone who has this kind of problem, having guns, no matter how
just
they are,
enables them.
It's just because everybody goes into such fragile state of mind that I want to do something. You know, if the guns are freely available, it just makes things much more easier, rather than me going in the store, buying a gun, waiting for 3 days for period for clearance. A lot of things can dissuade me from not doing it. But if you have a gun lying in your cabinet right there, loaded and everything, it just takes a second to do that.
We're going to have to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.